The weekend action is upon us, and what a weekend. City against Liverpool, take two. There has to be a winner, of course. Celtic against Rangers, take two. Can Celtic do the double? Watford and Burnley are running out of games. And Norwich fans, keep tight a hold of your phones, because Cristiano Ronaldo's in town. Okay, it's me, Geordie Pete Redding, and him, Super Kevin Campbell, somewhat depleted this afternoon. We've been biffed, big man. We've been well and truly biffed.
She got a better offer, I heard, Pete. It's all right. It's all right. We could take it. We could take it.
We're big boys.
Hopefully, we could get her on another time.
Yeah, hopefully. Just, ladies and gents, just so you know, Hayley absolutely devastated to say that she had a call from her day job on GB News, and she's doing some breaking news this morning, so she can't join us, but she will be back. What we do have,
Pete,
and very good timing.
Sorry, Pete, I've got to say, and she heard that the predictions were that good, she just bailed on us.
So what we do have is a ready-made replacement, someone who's very, very knows his football, is as good-looking, by the way, very suave. Let me present to you, there he is, the main man himself, and I hope his microphone's on and you can hear us, George.
Oi.
I can hear you.
Hi, George.
I got so excited, my iPad fell away.
Oh,
brilliant.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Doing great, thank you.
Lovely.
Great. Well, we've got George in the house, a ready-made replacement. Great to see him. Looking good on the old Clooney front. I can hear you. Can you hear us? I've missed this, Kev. Have you? Yeah, I've missed George coming in like sort of just as we start rather than practicing 5 minutes before. Never mind, he's with us. That's all that counts. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be previewing the big weekend games. Again, as I said, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Palace, Celtic, Rangers. We're going to be chatting life after Daesh for Burnley, a glorious week of European football, and why Man United can't wait for the season to end. As always, we've got Baller of the Week and our DK Hot Sauce predictions. We'll gloss over last week's. It was so poor, so terrible. Again, we're giving away you 20 billion of your Panda Token, but only if you're watching via our new stream, our hollywoodballs.live. If you are, you need to, you're in. That's as simple as that. If you're on a YouTube platform and Facebook platform, you need to register if you want to see the Panda tokens. That's
Get
the
it
rules.
done. Get it done. Get it done. Register.
Listen, before we start and get into all the weekend's action, the fun quiz, Kev, that we did a couple of weeks ago proved really popular. So we're going to go again. It's just for fun, but it's Phil Foden got another assist when England played the Ivory Coast. Now, it's his 6th or 7th in 15 caps, depending on which news source you believe. But who has the most assists for England? And can you name the player with the second most assists? Good quiz question, that one, just for fun. And we'll come back to that at the end of the show. Okay, it's a massive welcome back to our George, the king of the Panda himself, from the football app TFA. How have you been?
Doing great, thank you. Very good. Glad to be back.
Good man, good man. The messages are flying in. I think, honestly, Kev, it's George's return. Everyone's going nuts.
The deadly trio's back. The terrible trio.
God help them.
I couldn't find Thin Lizzy for the boys are back in town. George, great to have you. Great to have you back with us. Looking forward to this episode. Kev, let's get straight into it. I mean, there's an early game with Spurs as well, but the game on everyone's lips is City against Liverpool, take two. Massive game now in the context of things, and also when we come onto the European stuff. But it's cup day today, isn't it?
It is cup day, and it's cup weekend, Pete. Let's have it right. It's cup weekend.
Yeah.
And these two juggernauts went at it last week, didn't they? And Manchester City, I think, would have been the more disappointed of the sides after they went in the lead twice, and probably first half could have been ahead more. But Liverpool are showing form. You know, they've been champions before. They know what it takes, and they're showing that great form and that fighting spirit to come back into it. So it's going to be a hell of a tussle today.
Looking forward to it. George, what's your thoughts? I mean, last weekend it was everything we expected, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more this weekend.
Yeah, it was breathtaking last weekend, and I think there was so much respect for each other that you saw some crazy mistakes at the back.
Yeah.
Right? I think, like Kevin says, I think City would be more disappointed last week, but today it's a whole new game, right? The form goes out the window. Anybody can win. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great weekend of football again, right?
George makes a good point there, Kevin. The fact that, you know, there were mistakes made, but we were talking on our Monday Rewind. That's just the case of people going at it. Like world-class forwards they're basically gonna generate those kind of mistakes, aren't they? So more of the same, please.
Yeah, more of the same. I want the form not to go out the window. I want the form to stay on the pitch, if you don't mind. These two sides are fantastic teams. The two best teams in the country, probably the two best teams in Europe, arguably at the moment. And we've got another serving of these two going together. Do you know when you get that sort of firepower on a football pitch, it makes defenders nervous. So that's why mistakes get made.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers were nervous.
Yeah,
goalkeepers.
Listen, it was heartening to see the mistakes, because when you see at the highest level they can make those mistakes, and yet some players are so cool. Like Pete, I interrupted you. I apologise. At the goalie,
no, go for it.
Right? The goalie with that control on my heart sank. It was a goal, I thought, right? And he was cool as a cucumber, man. It was unbelievable, right?
It was incredible. Speaking of cool as a cucumber and goalkeepers, Eric Nixon's watching, of course, with Manchester City. He was on Hollywood Bowls just a few months back. Eric, hope you're well. Looking forward to the game today. I'm sure you are as well. He says, come on, you mighty City. Can't wait for it myself. Kev, just looking at it, though, I think because it's been such a massive week for both Liverpool and Man City, but City have probably come off the worst. They've picked up a couple of knocks. They've had... They've had Simeone and Atletico to deal with. More about that later. But it could be Liverpool really fancy it just as slight favourites today.
Well, you could say that, Pete, but this is where the squad comes in, doesn't it? This is where you've got to utilise your squad, pick up a couple of injuries. I think the Kevin De Bruyne one is the real killer for Man City. But you know what? Manchester City squad, they do have some real breathtaking players as well who can come on and step up and do the business. So I think it will maybe tip the scales Liverpool's way, but don't look past this City squad because they're full of world-class players.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Lots of people in the house messaging. Chamaco's in, Effie Young. I've just seen CR7, Ronaldo's, and he must have heard my comment about the phone. I hope he's not on his phone. Listen, I just wanted, literally, Kev, I know you call me the Jonah. I literally messaged Steve Stone about 3 or 4 days ago to ask how he was doing. And literally the weekend.
You're the new Jinx. You're the new Jinx. You're the new Jinx. Pete, I'm
unbelievable
gobsmacked.
Decision.
I'm gobsmacked, to be honest with you. But do you know something, Pete? After that result against Norwich, I think there was some... I don't know 100%, but I think there was some words exchanged with some of the hierarchy, because they really thought we beat Everton in the week and then we go to Norwich. We win this, we've got a great chance. The fact that they lost that, momentum's not there. I just think that, you know, and to sack everybody, Pete, to sack everybody. Obviously, you called the chairman and told him, did you? Get rid of him.
Yeah, I've heard from Stoney for a while.
I mean, has there been a better manager than Sean Dyche?
No.
I mean, given his resources, even if you go down, you keep him.
Well, that's what's happened before, George, hasn't it? They went down and they came straight back up.
Straight back up. I mean, it is the most shocking. My brother sent me a WhatsApp, and don't tell anybody I was driving, and I saw a message, right? I nearly fell off the road. It was crazy. It's I think it's shocking, absolutely shocking, and it's a kind of thing that fans feel disenchanted about. The chairman and the board. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. What a great job Sean Dyche and his team have done over the years. Incredible.
Leads to the question, Kevin. I know he's been on this show, and I know he's a friend of Hollywood Balls, but the talk immediately goes to Sam Allardyce. Surely that narrative is they can't be thinking along those lines, Kev, are they?
You want to bet? Listen, get big. The key is, Pete, if there is anyone who can go in there with such a short amount of time and try and do something, is Big Sam, right?
Yeah.
Now, why would you get rid of Sean Dyche if you haven't got a plan? It makes no sense to me. And it's not as if you got rid of the manager and then maybe Ian Walnut number 2 or Stoney, assistant who's one of the assistants could then take over. They got rid of everyone. They even got rid of Billy Mercer, the goalkeeping coach.
Yeah.
So it's they're gonna have a revamp. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna have a re-goal. But for short term, it wouldn't surprise me, Pete, if you saw the big man in there.
Just get a WhatsApp ready so we'll see if we can get an answer before the end of the show.
But it does point to Kevin's observation that it feels like there was a bust up and there was an emotional decision made that was quick and perhaps not that well thought out. If you're a Burnley fan, your blood has to be boiling, right? Your blood has to be boiling. I mean, we're not Burnley fans, and we're very passionate about. We think it's a wrong decision. It's a wrong decision for football. It's a wrong decision for Burnley. It's a terrible way to treat Sean Dyche, longer-serving Premier League manager. Hey, it's just a disaster. And, maybe Big Sam will do it. Who knows?
Who knows? Sam will know. And I'm sure we will really soon. And if he does, Kev, I've got to ask you, not on the script today, but if he does, would that just have a little alarm bell ringing for Evertonians? Because they know what he's capable of.
Yeah, they know what he's capable of. The fact of the matter is, Burnley, I don't think, have won back-to-back games all season.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they need to do to really put the scares on Everton. And what is it, 8 games to go, 7 games? I just don't see it, Pete. I don't see them doing it. Big Sam tends to need a little bit more time. 8 games maybe isn't enough. Well, I'm hoping it ain't enough anyway.
Yeah.
You're hoping so. As Eric says, they can't keep bringing Sam in, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. Kev, a very good point, and George, that Ali Khaled made on our Newcastle podcast this week is people talking about new manager bounce and he said, you're talking about a team here that hasn't been able to put a run of 2 and 3 wins together all season. So why now? So and Ali makes a very, very good point on that. So that's why Watford and Burnley and Norwich are down at this end, even though Kev and I joked that Norwich looked like Brazil last weekend.
Pete, that's why Everton have been down there.
Yeah.
As well. Let's be real here. Everton shouldn't be there, but the fact that they are there is because that they cannot string wins and they're not consistent. If you're inconsistent in the Premier League, you are going to suffer. And that's what's happened with those 4, especially those 4 down at the bottom. So, Everton have just been a little bit more consistent than the others.
Yeah.
But
Kevin makes a massive point, for me at least. Burnley beat Everton, then they're playing Norwich. It should have been, according to the form books, the first back-to-back win, and would have been a massive boost. They lost. They deservedly lost. Norwich were outstanding. And I think there's been a massive reaction in the club. Massive reaction.
George, let me just touch on that, because remember, Everton played early Man United.
Yeah.
Everton won that game, so all the pressure was back on Burnley and Norwich. And Burnley couldn't respond. I think that's what maybe got some people above speaking.
Yeah.
Speaking of turnarounds, George, since we've had you on, maybe you should stay off a bit more because your team's turned it round. And let's be right about it. It's something that you always said, and you said that Conte would deliver, hopefully, the sort of football that you're seeing now.
Well, I think, a few observations. One is that I think Conte has been the beneficiary of Spurs not being in Europe. They got knocked out.
Okay.
He's had way more time with them on the pitch. It's like Arteta at Arsenal. He's had lots of time with them on the pitch and not in Europe. And, I think it's between Spurs and the other lot, right? Spurs and Arsenal. It is. But I think one crucial factor is they've had a lot of time. You look at West Ham, who I always thought could compete for a Champions League spot. Thursday, Sunday. I'm so excited for West Ham for their success. But it's too much for them
Caught up with them.
Champions League. Yeah, it's caught up with them, right? So I think that's a big factor for Conte. We're all very excited. And it's every game is a cup final now. Every single game is a cup final. And there is no easy game in the Premier League, as we know. No easy game, So I can't wait to watch it. Nervous as hell.
As always, we wouldn't have it any other way. Great games in store all weekend. Listen, guys, it's great to have you along. There's so many of you on YouTube and Facebook, as well as on HollywoodBalls.live. If you want to be in the prize, obviously you have to switch over. So you do have to register. Kev, tell them.
Sign up. Remember, get it signed up. Get signed up, or else you're out.
You're out. So many of you in the house. It's great to have you all on board. Fantastic. It feels like the Three Musketeers are riding again. So we'll ride into Europe, Kev. I'll start with you. An absolutely fantastic week of European football, Champions League and Europa League. But I wanted to talk first about Atletico. It's something that's a bit of a bugbear of mine because they're saying that he's a master and it's dark arts and this and that. It's not. It's cheating. It's where do they get off with this Atletico stuff?
Pete, hold on a minute. Let me just say this to you. Atletico, second half of that game, battered Man City. If they could put the ball away, they would have knocked City out.
But they didn't.
Fact of the matter is they couldn't get the goal. So do you know what happens? It becomes City's a scrapping. It becomes a scrap. People start to lose their mind. Why? Because it's not going their way. Pete, we've seen it happen many a time. I played in a side that was similar to that at times. And every fan wants their team to be able to have that in the locker. We know.
You celebrate that, right?
All I'm saying is, Pete, if you're going to come to our ground, this is what Simeone tells his boys, I'm sure. If anyone's going to leave here with a win, they got to be prepared to bleed.
Literally.
Literally. Because you know what? They make it ugly. They scrap. They fight. This is what they're about. They're scrappers, Pete. They are scrappers. They can play, but you are going to have a fight on your hands. Literally, you're going to have a fight on your hands.
Yeah. I mean, what detracts? This is if I'm an Atletico fan, I'm disappointed because all this stuff has detracted from the fact that second half, my team outplayed Man City. Now, there aren't many clubs that can say that. I mean, they were fantastic. And City scrapped and they did everything they had to just not to concede a goal. There was an excellent save, great tackles, great marking. So fair play to Atletico. But, they're bad losers, which is a good thing, I think. But I think the extent to which they're bad losers is inappropriate. You don't want to see that. We used to see that in the game 20, 30 years ago in Italy, in Spain, even in England. But I think the game has moved on from that degree, but they haven't. So they feel hard done by. What they should feel hard done by is not taking their chances. That's not Man City's fault.
Okay, let's move on to a game that did have everything, and it was a case of so near and yet so far for Chelsea. Kev, it literally was that first leg, wasn't it? That undid them.
Yeah,
But what a
look,
performance.
Chelsea done everything they could, and you know what? Thomas Tuchel said it right after the game. This is a loss that they can take and hold their head high, because you know what? They performed incredibly. To put Real Madrid under so much pressure, Real Madrid had to pull it out the fire somehow, and you know their big players had to come up. Modric with that ball to Rodrigo was incredible, and then we know that man Benzema. What is it? 38th goal of the season. He's been
Yeah.
incredible, but Chelsea performance was outstanding. Obviously, had a goal disallowed as well, Pete, didn't they? And that might have taken them through. But it was a huge performance by Chelsea. Just maybe left themselves a little bit too much to do away from the first leg. And, you know, sometimes maybe, you know, it's difficult for Real Madrid to keep their foot on the gas maybe. But Chelsea shocked them on the night. Shocked them, had a real game plan.
I mean, Chelsea were the better team.
Yeah.
They had a hatful of chances. They could have scored 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And if there's one criticism you would make of Chelsea, is they didn't take all their chances, or there were many chances they didn't.
Not clinical enough.
Yeah, if they were clinical, they would have gone through to the semi-final. You know, so but listen, Real Madrid, they weren't as good as Chelsea, but they were smart enough. They were streetwise enough, and I thought Modric. He's 36 now, right?
He's unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh God.
My God. And that ball for that goal, that's what turned it. That's what turned it.
Yeah.
You know?
Different.
That's what had George on his WhatsApp. He was like, what football, look at this, what brilliant. George, a team that I wanted to discuss with you, because they were always a focal point of yours and my European roundups, is the end of the Bayern era now. That's a hugely big disappointing result for Bayern, isn't it? You know, after the Villarreal defeat. It's
just not the fact that they lost. I didn't like the way they lost. They had lots of possession, but I didn't see the free-flowing, crisp football that you're used to from Bayern, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, I think the current manager, the current head coach, he's got lots to prove. And it could be a time of change now. I mean, are they going to lose Lewandowski in the summer? That's a big loss, right? I think he wants to go. I think he wants to change. I think he's heading for La Liga. What do I know? But if you read the tea leaves, I think it could be a rebuild for Bayern.
Good stuff. Listen, everyone's messages, everyone's got an opinion. Samson says he's happy to be a Chelsea fan still and proud. Emmy says Liverpool are taking this one, no doubt. You'll never walk alone. Everyone, Odemayo, everyone's got an opinion. Keep them coming in, because, Kev, in a few weeks' time, not only will they be able to write their opinion to you and I and whoever our guest is, but they'll be able to join in the show with us, won't they? Maybe you and I could go off and make a cup of
tea. They could get them on, get them all up.
Just get them on for 10 minutes, and Kevin and I can get a cup. But it'll be interesting to have all of our great viewers' views, won't it?
Pete, you know, for me especially, the interaction with the fans is so important, and whoever you support, to be able to get them on here like George is and I am and you are, Pete, to get the face on is going to be so brilliant as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking forward to it, Pete. Can't we have it today, Pete?
We're working on it. James Graham's watching. It lies with him. So, James Graham, if you're watching, while you're watching, get back into the factory and get our guests on. But boys are doing a brilliant job, I have to say, at V Circle. Absolutely great stuff. Okay, George, massive wins as well. I'm going to save the other London club. I'll come back to Kev with that. But I wanted to say big wins for Leicester and Rangers in the other European ties as well. I must admit, I blow hot and cold with Leicester. You never really know what Brendan Rodgers' side is going to turn up this season.
Listen, they did the job on the night. I'm very happy for Leicester. But to me, the biggest shout out of this week has to be Rangers.
Yeah, right? Big time.
I mean, I am I was so no outcome excited me more than Rangers getting through, because although it's a huge brand, they got millions of fans. The difference between a Scottish Premier League club and an English Premier League club is significant. So for Rangers to achieve what they've achieved, I think that's outstanding. It's heartwarming, and I'm thrilled for every Rangers fan. And I think it's a great thing for football. I really do.
No, Kev, West Ham, what a story that was.
Pete.
And sweet as well, wasn't it, with the old the Twitter exchange?
Oh yeah, Pete. Let me just tell you, this is the performance. Chelsea done absolutely brilliant at Real Madrid, but didn't get through. West Ham quarterfinal away at Lyon, level, and you perform like you did there, clean sheet, win the game 3-0. And there's plenty of Twitter business going on as well. Even better, Pete.
Love it.
Listen, what a time. David Moyes, what a job he's done at West Ham.
I love him. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant job he's done at West Ham.
Yeah. Absolutely.
10-1 on Rangers winning it as well, by the way, as per James Graham. What a price that is. I'd be having a look at that. As I say, very sweet for West Ham. Massive wins for them and Leicester and Rangers. The semi-final draw for the Champions League, though, I mean, we're looking possibly at another Liverpool City final. I mean, incredible. Just going to prove the stat that you are dealing with possibly and probably the two best teams in world football at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so it's going to be, look, we've got a semi-final between them today. We're going to have probably, I mean, according to the form books, they're going to be in the final of Champions League against each other. It's a fantastic dynasty between them. And I am in awe of both of them. And God, that's great. It's exciting times if you're a City and a Liverpool fan, I'll tell you that.
Pete,
absolutely.
I'm fed up of the two of them by then. After that, I'll be fed up.
This is from my dad. There's a team that'll be knocking on the door soon enough. Don't you worry. And they're playing black and white, and it's not Grimsby or Notts County. There you go.
What we need 4 or 5 teams to be as strong, don't we? To really, because do you know what? If Liverpool hadn't emerged, who would be there to take City on?
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Got to say hello to Julie. Good afternoon from the UAE, where we are as well. Great to have you on board. Nice to have a message in from our home city as well. Okay, good stuff. Kev, I'm on my high horse again, and I want to talk about this parent club rule. Can we not just sack it off? Because
no.
And I'm referring to, you know who I'm referring to.
I know you're referring to. No, don't sack it off, Pete. Because let me tell you, this is important for the player, that he gets opportunities to play in the first team at another Premiership club.
Yeah.
But what if you're the parent club, you'd be crazy to have one of your players who's still contracted to you be able to play against you and hurt you. That doesn't make sense either, Pete. So I think the rule's fine. It just sometimes throws up these anomalies like it does for the FA Cup semi-final. But hey, he is Chelsea's player, Pete. So Crystal Palace have done well with him this season, Pete. So Palace should have no argument about it.
Yeah, listen, I'm heartbroken first for Connor because he wanted to play, right? He's been outstanding. I'm heartbroken for Palace fans. But to Kevin's point, we've got to live in the real world here, right? He's Chelsea's player. I'm going to let him play against me, and he's been so good, he could be the difference, and I'm going to get knocked out of the cup? No way. It's not right. So Chelsea have been very good in loaning him to Palace. Palace have been tremendous beneficiaries of having Connor. As horrible as it is, and it's not poetic, is it? But it feels like it's unjust, but it's the right thing. If he's your player, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you might not like it, Geordie Pete, but I'm telling you. Hey, imagine that happened to Newcastle. Newcastle had loaned the player. Yeah, but why would he play?
Yeah.
because Newcastle were naive and the rule came in straight after that.
Well, there you
You
go.
go.
There you go. Well, that's why it was you lot who cried about the rule and changed it.
If you don't want him in your club, he's got to play for whoever he's playing for come the weekend. That's my rule.
Yeah.
Listen, Ben Shields in the house. Ben, great to see you. He was at South Shields the other weekend with his little lad. Got a South Shields signed top as well from all the boys.
Pete, how
Shields
did they
going
get
well,
on?
Kev. They
How
won.
did they get on? They won. Good.
They had the draw away. They conceded a last minute goal, but Buxton slipped up at home, so it was as you were. And then they won 4-0 last Saturday, and now they go to FC Manchester this weekend. But it's still all on. 3 games to go, 1 point in it. So very similar situation to City and Liverpool, but it's all to play for the Mariners.
Kev
all
and
the
the
best.
boys, all the best.
Yeah, it was great. And you know what? I read an interview with Kevin Phillips this week, and he's really enjoying it. He's around the northeast. He was at the Chamber of Commerce with Glenn, and they were chatting with local businesses. It's been a really, really good move by the club to have someone like Kevin Phillips in charge there. So fingers crossed for the Mariners that they can get there and get it done. Okay, what have we got? Manchester United. It wouldn't be a show without discussing them. Kev, I'll come to you first. Uncle Ralph, as I like to call him, he says he's got no part to play in the search for the new manager scenario. So he's leaving. He's not playing a part in the direction of the new manager. It's like Man United are just limping towards the finishing line for the season because let's be right about it. George hit it before. It looks like Spurs and Arsenal for Champions League. Man United are nowhere near it.
Yeah, Pete, I said it when Ralph Rangnick was appointed. For 6 months, they're a rudderless ship. Because unless the players really believe in what he's doing, you're only going to get a window of 6 months with Ralph Rangnick. So you could see what's happened, that the performances haven't improved. They've kind of stayed the same. In fact, I think they've got a little bit worse, Pete, if I'm honest with you. Culminating in that defeat. Exactly, culminating in that defeat against Everton. So, again, Ralph Rangnick, he won't be manager next season, although he'll be part of the club. But what are Man United doing?
It's a shambles.
It's for me, it means nothing. You might as well have kept Michael Carrick there until the end of the season.
I agree with that. Look, if you're a Man U fan, you're just beyond going crazy. It's just, I feel bad for United fans. It's not the fact that they're not performing that well. It's just that it's a shambles. It's like there's no plan. It's disorganized. It's ad hoc. It's like there's a new idea every day. It's shambolic. It's just shambolic.
But fellas, I wanted to put both to you this, and it stuck with me this last week. I enjoyed listening to Joleon Lescott, who was a pundit last weekend, and he made a very good point post Rangnick's Everton warble. I actually thought Ralph Rangnick was quite open. I thought he spoke well, but Lescott was annoyed on behalf of Man United fans. He said, listen, what he's doing there is he's throwing his players under the bus again. He said he's not taking any responsibility. He said, and also, what's his plan? He said, he's just lumping on players and hoping because they're big names that something's going to click. He said, as a supposed, trailblazer of football, not good enough.
You need players to be able to listen. Whatever plan you've got, Pete, you need players who can implement the plan on the pitch. The fact of the matter is, Manchester United have been that club where they depend on individuals to produce quality, and when they do it, they're devastating. But we've seen it this season. Ronaldo has pulled them out the fire so many times. We've seen Jadon Sancho at times pull them out the fire. We've seen these players perform a little bit. Now that rudderless ship, Pete, is going nowhere. Ralph Rangnick's got no plan because he's only got 6 months. What can he plan? And don't forget, Joleon Lescott is a City guy, so it's always.
I know. I just thought it was a good point.
but the problem is, Pete, when you're dealing with Manchester United, if you're going to have a plan and a certain way how to play football, the current Manchester United squad are not disciplined enough to do it. The way Ralph Rangnick wants to play, they are not disciplined enough to do it. That's why they're struggling.
Ben Shields hit the nail on the head for post of the day for me here. Man United don't have a team; they just have some good players, and I tend to agree with that. Not a bad thought process.
And there are issues because I hate to say it, there are a number of Man U players who don't leave it out all on the pitch.
Yep.
You just know that, right? So that comes down to the coach, right? I mean, you don't want to micro observe because it can get crazy, but against Everton, he took Rashford off. Rashford was fantastic. He was having a great game. He looked the most dangerous Man U player, and he took him off. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Interesting. Okay, so we're coming up to the to baller of the week and also to our predictions. Before we do, surely, Kev, Watford's last chance to keep any slim hopes, if any, alive. Not won at home since November, and they're playing a team that we featured on the Monday Rewind, Brentford, who are going great guns under Ericsson. Kev, surely it is last chance saloon for Watford today.
Pete, it is last chance saloon, and if there's ever a team Watford don't want to play, it'll be this Brentford team because they are cock-a-hoop at the moment. They've done Chelsea 2 weeks ago. They battered West Ham last week, and now they've got another London derby against Watford. If Watford don't win this, Pete, they're gone. As far as I'm concerned, they're really gone.
I totally agree.
This is the last, string that they're holding on to, and Brentford are going to be very, very dangerous. They're going to be solid, and they're just going to go for them. So, I'd like to see Watford do something, but I think Brentford are going to beat them.
Yeah, George, a player that has made a heck of a difference at Brentford, Ericsson. Whisper it quietly, but he could be relocating to the northeast come the summer. Let's just leave that there.
Who knows? Yeah.
But what a turnaround for Brentford.
Listen, I think Brentford, it's been great. Look, it's a beautiful game. Brentford come up, first time in the Premier League, and they've had a tremendous season. And with Ericsson there, they're playing some good football. He's picking out passes left, right, and centre. It's good on the eye. It's very enjoyable to watch. And yes, to your point, it'll be very interesting to see where Mr. Christian Eriksen ends up. I'm delighted for Christian Eriksen. What a recovery.
Likewise.
Long
Absolutely. Long may it continue. Okay. Who's in the house? Fatima. Billy Hirsch. Sounds like an old Sheffield United player, Billy, doesn't he? Salusu's here as well. They're all in looking for their competition, so good luck to them all. Okay, it's time for Baller of the Week. Kev, we're going to start with you.
Do you know what, Pete? For me, I know there were some outstanding performances and stuff, but I've got to go for David Moyes and that West Ham team for that performance. Everybody clubbed in. The fans were brilliant. The team were brilliant, and the manager got it absolutely spot on the night. I know Leicester had a great game as well. Fair play to them, but I thought that one was the real potential banana skin for West Ham, and they came through it with flying colours. So David Moyes and that West Ham.
George, it's been a while, so you've got a baller for us?
I do have a baller. Listen, I would choose all of Rangers, all of West Ham. I mean, I can't. But if I had to pick one player, it would not be an English team's player. I'm going with Luka Modric. I think he single-handedly got Real Madrid through. His vision, his fight, his shrewdness, that great ball for that first goal for Real Madrid. I think he's the player that made the most difference in any of those massive games throughout the whole week. So I'm giving it to Luka Modric.
Good man. We'll agree with that. I've actually got one for you this week, and it's a little bit of a surprise. So I'm going to go with my baller of the week. She's not expecting it, but it's my mum. It's Pauline Redding, and I'll tell you why. Because a couple of months back, she was in a store in the UAE, and she happened across a young Ghanaian gentleman who helped her in the store and was more than helpful. And he told her that he was a footballer. And she came back and we chatted. Long story short, we spoke to the boy. Lylord Shebu is his name, from Ghana, a lovely young man. And he told me, yes, I used to play in Ghana, but obviously in the UAE, it's a bit more difficult. I have a job, blah, blah, blah. But I'm a good player and I deserve a chance. So we thought, why not? So with the help of Danny Guthrie at TFA in Dubai, we took Lylord last week and he went to his first training session. And boy, there were some good players in that squad at TFA that Danny Guthrie has. And Lylord made his first appearance in training. And he didn't look out of place, Kev, and he'll be going
That's
back
good.
really soon. So he's got the chance, and the person that gave him that chance was our own Pauline Redding. So she's my
Well
baller of the
done,
week.
Mum.
Hey, I tell you what, Pete. We need to get her on the recruitment. She's a scout now, mate. I tell you, sign her up. Well
Brilliant
done, Mum.
stuff.
Well done, Pauline. Well done.
Well
Yeah,
done, Mum.
great story. Good touch as well, by the way. You look really good, so fair play. Great stuff. Great story. Okay, we are coming up to our time for predictions. I just wanted to run the answer past you from the quiz at the top. Was the most assists? Did you gents have any guesses for who it would be? England's?
No.
We said obviously that Foden was the youngest now, when he's got 6 or 7, depending on the records currently. But overall, who is it for England?
An English player or for England?
Yeah, England player. Yeah, for England, for the international side.
Oh, for England,
No idea.
I would say Teddy Sheringham.
No, he's in there. He's in the top 5. It's Beckham. It's Golden Balls himself is the name. Interesting quiz that though, because Foden does look like it. It would have been Gaza for me, but not to be, because Gaza didn't play that as enough. So it was Beckham. Okay. It's time for this week's predictions. George, great to have you back. So you know what it's all about. So I'm quite comfortable in that.
And
Kev, we're going to brush over last week's. It was rubbish.
That's all right.
No winners.
Hey, that's all right, Pete. That's all right. So it reverts back to the week before. And let George know, will you? Let him know.
Yeah. Kev equaled the record.
Equaled the record and smashed it. And I smashed that Dub Pistols Baz all over the place. And he's run off now. So there you go. Champion Kev back. Super Kev
all right,
back.
Here we go.
Come on, let's go, Pete.
I tell you what, by the way, just a big shout out to Barry. Boy, he's put some hours in this week. He's off to Birmingham today as our Baz. He was in London. I don't know how he does it. There's a message from Mum. There you go. Thank you, boys. Love the beard, George. Great stuff. Okay, as George is guest, he's going to go first. City, Liverpool.
Man City 1, Liverpool 2.
Okay, Super Kev.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to go City 2-1, just because I want to.
Good. Yeah. Okay, you can't argue with that. I've gone 2-1 to Liverpool. Jace Edwards is in the house. Lee Cosgrove, Barry Robson, Sunderland's #1 fan, and our own Ben Shields is in the house as well. As I say, I've gone 2-1 to Liverpool. Jace has gone 3-1 City. Lee Cosgrove's taken a 1-1 draw. Okay, Barry Robson's taken 3-2 to Liverpool, goals galore. And Ben Shields taken 1-1 as well. Okay, next up for you, George. Man United, Norwich.
I'm going to go for a tight win for Man U.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-0 for Man U.
Super Kev.
3-1 Man U.
3-1 to Man United. Okay, I've gone 2-1 to Man United. Jace has taken 3-0 to Man United. Lee Cosgrove has got his beloved Red Devils winning 4-1. Barry Robson's taken 2-0 to Man United. And Ben Shields bucked the trend. He's gone for a 2-1 win to Norwich. The great escape is on, according to our Ben. Great stuff. Okay, next up, George, whisper it quietly. Southampton, Arsenal.
It's going to be. I wondered. I spent time on this, so it's going to be very difficult.
I bet you did.
I'm going to give it a 2-2 draw.
Desmond.
Goals. God, Desmond 2-2.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Desmond,
Kev, what you got?
Pete, I'm going 1-0 to the Arsenal. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. Both teams are struggling. But just because I'm a goon, I'm going 1-0 to the Arsenal. I could be horribly wrong on this one.
Is it the Red as jinx, Kev? Because I just said a couple of weeks back that Southampton had turned a corner and they looked all right, and then they go and shit.
Well, just hey, could you say Spurs have turned the corner, please?
No.
I did actually, if you think about it.
No, he did, and they did. This is the problem, George.
I'll put that on Monday Rewind.
Oh no! Can you say it again?
Okay, I've gone 2-0 to the Arsenal. There you go, have that. Jason's taken 2s apiece. Lee Cosgrove's taken a 1-1 draw. So has Barry Robson. And Ben's taken 3-1 to the Arsenal. Chelsea Palace and the other Sabby George.
I think Chelsea will win it. I think they win it 3-1.
Okay, good stuff. Kev?
I think I've got it a little bit closer. I've got it 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay, I've gone 2-0 to Chelsea. Can't see Palace scoring today. Probably get a bucket load. 2-1 to Chelsea for Jace. Lee Cosgrove's taken the same. Barry Robson's gone one more with 3-1 to Chelsea. Ben's taken 3-1 to Chelsea as well. Last up, 20 copters for the Scottish Cup semi-final.
20 copters, there you go.
Celtic Rangers, George.
You know, I know what I've written down, but this is a wild card. Rangers are on a high. I'm going 2-1 Rangers.
2-1 Rangers as half of Glasgow shuts its ears. Kev, what you got?
I've gone 2-1 Celtic.
Yeah, same here. I watched that Derby game, and I just think that Rangers they started like a house on fire, but they just weren't at it at the back. And Celtic they picked their moments, didn't they?
Picked them off.
Celtic is the better team. There's no doubt. I just think Rangers have got something to prove after the last Derby game, right?
But you know what, George? This is one thing I will say, especially after the European exertion.
Yeah.
It'll be draining. It'll be exhilarating because they've got through.
Yeah.
I know it's another huge game to get yourself up.
It's a big ask. Could be a game
and I just see Celtic arrested.
Yeah.
You know, I just think they're gonna take it 2-1.
So does Jace Edwards. He's gone 2-1. Lee Cosgrove's gone for the same scoreline, as has Barry Robson. And Ben Shields taken 3-1 on the hoops for Celtic. Okay, that's it. Done and dusted. Time flies when you're having fun. Whoever your team is, we hope they do well this weekend. Big shout outs to Berwick Rangers, who end their season today. The boys up in Berwick, our friends, of course. South Shields, massive weekend for them. So to Glenn and Kevin Phillips and all the boys there. And of course, whoever your team is, we'll be back on Monday. Rewind, you and I, Kev. It's been a fantastic show. Literally, so many of you watching today. Can't thank you all enough.
Don't forget to sign up.
Sign up, get across to Facebook, win your prize. We'll be back next Friday. Next Saturday even. Come back on Friday if you want as well. On Soccer Saturday with me, Geordie Pete Redding, him, Super Kev, and of course TFA George. We'll see you next time.